Hi students, I wanted to go over the concept of the gray zone and how we control our reins and how we do it in a way that creates softness and a soft state of mind in our horse. So in the lecture last week, we had talked about the gray zone and the two areas that we want to be in terms of getting our horse rounded or getting the reins loose enough to where the horse is walking relaxed. That is the idea of creating that D. So here I am riding a horse, and she's rounded here on top, and you can see it right there. And then the reins are loose, if anything, but there's that D shape that we're looking for. And so she kind of stays in that position right there. That's a good example of that D again. And we'll keep going. And then I pitch the reins, what I call pitching the reins, where you make it so loose. And you can see here's the upside down D. And the important thing is there's never a point where we're in that triangle gray zone. That's really something we don't want our horses to be in. We don't want you guys to be living in that zone because it creates that brace. So here I'm asking for direction, and my horse still remains in that D shape, even though her neck is turned. So there's that D again. She's not willingly, or she's willingly being guided. She's not tensing up, and you can tell that because there's no tension in the reins. So this is what we call beating the cue, or beating the horse is beating you to the pole. So they will. We'll see it here in just a second. You can see my inside rein stays very loose. This is a sensitive horse in general, and so she feels that inside rein even before any tension actually comes into it. So there's some really important things I want to talk to you when we're talking about direction and stuff. When I ask for direction, when we go back and you actually see me asking for direction, you can see my hand, my outside hand takes over for the inside hand, right there, right at that point. And then you can see my inside hand letting go right there. And then I slide my hand down and push and pull out. So you can see my hand start to go and point out. And right there in that process, you see my horse starting to meet that pull and try to not let her rein get tense. And you can see the whole time how loose it is and how little she really needs. And so there's some really important things. One, I have just a sensitive horse. I'm riding a sensitive horse, so she's really in tune with that idea. So not all horses are going to beat you to the pole that quickly to where they never let there be any tension on the reins. But the important thing with my cue, as I broke it down for you guys, was look how far out my arm is. My arm being that far out is a visual to her. It's not just that she can feel the tug from my rein, but it's also that she sees how far out my arm is in her left eye there. So it's really important that when we're asking our horses to turn, we aren't pulling down to our hips here or anything like that. Like it needs to be out and not down or by your hip. So we kind of continue. You can see how loose she is. She doesn't need very much. And this is a buildup, so this is the end goal. this is the end goal, but this isn't necessarily how, like, I know it's easier to ride a horse like this, but how do we build a horse like this? How do we train a horse like this? So that's just making sure that our cues are really clear. And in the next video, I'll kind of show you some examples of how we can build this into our horses.